They called him a flopper, but nobody expected the chaos that would follow. One minute, the Los Angeles Clippers seemed invincible in their own arena, riding an intimidating home win streak that put every visiting team on notice. The next minute, an uproar of boos, accusations, and questionable calls flipped the atmosphere upside down. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, a rising star with a knack for slicing through defenses, found himself at the center of a heated standoff. Fans pointed fingers, refs wrestled with controversial whistles, and the entire Western Conference playoff race tilted in a single evening. Yet, that was only the beginning of the madness. The tension started brewing the moment Oklahoma City took the floor. Even without some key players, folks assumed the Thunder might be easy pickings. But from the first tip, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander showed that the missing names didn't matter. His opening drives were so effortless, he practically glided across the hardwood, pivoting around defenders as if they were invisible. Every time he reached the rim, the contact seemed to multiply, and the whistles followed just as quickly. At first, Clippers fans grumbled in annoyance. Then, as Gilgeous-Alexander kept drawing foul after foul, the discontent escalated to outright fury. It was the kind of game where a single emotion spreads like wildfire. A few vocal fans behind the basket started calling SGA a flopper whenever he hit the deck. The chant spread. Before long, entire sections were jeering him, waving arms in frustration, and clamoring for the referees to swallow their whistles. The irony was that Shai wasn't having a great shooting night from the field. He just kept finding ways to get to the line, which was driving the home crowd mad. But that's not all. Meanwhile, Ben Simmons, once heralded as a multi-talented star, seemed determined to remind the world he could still be a force. He barreled his way into the paint for a couple of buckets that electrified the Staples Center, or at least the portion that wasn't losing its mind over SGA. Simmons got a bit overconfident though, tripping in mid-transition and coughing up the ball. That mishap turned into a momentum shift back toward Oklahoma City. Before anyone could blink, a slender, unassuming guard on OKC's side, who hadn't made many headlines before, started draining crucial shots in transition. The Thunder capitalized on every Clippers miscue, forcing turnovers, turning them into fast break points, and generally out-hustling a team that had been so tough at home. The stat sheet was misleading. SGA wasn't burying the Clippers with unstoppable jumpers. He was carving them up from the free throw line and trusting his teammates to deliver. While all of this was happening, Kawhi Leonard quietly collected points with surgical efficiency. There's something mesmerizing about his late-game composure. How he sets his feet, fakes, and then unleashes that mid-range dagger. In the second half, Leonard decided enough was enough. He muscled his way into the paint, spun defenders around, and hit fadeaway jumpers that seemed to defy logic. If the Clippers were going to salvage their home record, their two-time Finals MVP was the best bet to turn the tide. Yet, the Thunder proved surprisingly deep. Whenever SGA faltered or the defense zeroed in on him, someone else stepped up. Caruso, Dort, Wiggins, you name it. Each possession felt like a chess match, where LA gambled on stopping one threat and somehow left the wrong man open. Then there was the officiating fiasco. Clippers big man Ivica Zubac made a clean roll to the basket, clearly got yanked across the wrist by a lunging SGA and no call. That play ignited a new wave of frustration in the stands, with some fans yelling, "See, that's the flop king," as though Gilgeous-Alexander had manipulated reality itself. But listen to this. With the game on the line in the final moments, the Rockets once again carved a path to the rim, looking to either tie or cut it to one possession. And that's when Murray decided he'd had enough. He drew contact, stepped to the free throw line, and sealed the deal. The loss not only ended Houston's 9-game streak, but also put Denver on a collision course with the West's top contenders for that precious second seed. Rumors swirled that certain players within the Rockets organization were fuming behind closed doors about missed opportunities. Some speculated that the coach was about to shuffle the rotation, searching for a spark that could prevent further late-game collapses. Elsewhere in the league, the Detroit Pistons proved they're no longer content with being an afterthought. Despite losing their all-star guard Cade Cunningham to an untimely injury, Detroit staged an impressive takedown of the New Orleans Pelicans. Everyone expected CJ McCollum to steamroll the Pistons' defense, and in many ways he did, dropping a scorching 40 points. Yet Detroit responded with balanced scoring and relentless hustle. Two unlikely heroes, Ron Holland and Marcus Sasser, unleashed a torrent of bench points that blindsided the Pelicans. On each possession, Sasser wove through screens to hit one floater after another, while Holland crashed the boards like he had something to prove. The Pelicans never recovered from the surprise. Even if they managed to slow down one of those role players, the other would step up. Meanwhile, Jalen Duren cleaned up misses and threw down vicious putback dunks that deflated New Orleans' spirit. Detroit's 48th win of the season means something bigger than just another W in the column. For years, they languished at the bottom of the standings, overshadowed by more glamorous franchises. Now there's real chatter about whether they're on track for a deep playoff push. League insiders have even hinted at a rapid return date for Cunningham, fueling speculation that the Pistons might have an even higher ceiling than anyone anticipated. Critics scoffed at the idea a month ago, but after seeing their resilience in big matchups, not many are laughing now. And here's where things take an unexpected turn, and then we have the Heat, desperate to snap a brutal 9-game losing streak, facing off against the Hornets. Oddly, most fans expected the story to center on Charlotte's rising talent LaMelo Ball or the Heat's known stars. Instead, Andrew Wiggins decided to flash a vintage performance. He torched the scoreboard with 42 points, the most he's scored in years. It was like stepping into a time machine and witnessing a younger version of Wiggins, relentlessly attacking the rim, nailing pull-up jumpers, and showing a fluid confidence that's been missing. Even so, the Heat's woes have deeper roots. There are rumors swirling about friction in the locker room, with players frustrated over a stagnant offense and questionable late-game strategies. An anonymous source hinted that certain veterans are pushing for changes in the lineup, while others believe the existing core simply needs more time to gel. Meanwhile, the Hornets are in the midst of their own identity crisis, caught between rebuilding and wanting to compete. That confusion may have contributed to letting Wiggins catch fire in ways they should have anticipated. As the dust settled on these matchups, fans realized something else was happening behind the scenes. A ripple effect shaking up the entire league. The Thunder's big road win over the Clippers sends a message that no home court advantage is guaranteed. The Nuggets' revival in Houston warns that Denver remains a legitimate contender, even when its star center is out. The Pistons' surprising surge calls into question all the preseason predictions that wrote them off as a lottery-bound project, and the Heat's scramble to end their losing streak hints at brewing drama that could explode if they don't turn things around. Experts are now debating, is Gilgeous-Alexander's knack for drawing fouls the result of unstoppable skill? Or is he gaming the system with a little dramatic flair? Are the Clippers fans justified in labeling him a flopper? Or did the referees simply enforce the rules as written? Officiating controversies like these can linger and overshadow bigger storylines, like Leonard's near-heroic comeback or the Thunder's underrated bench depth. From sports talk shows to social media forums, everyone has an opinion. Some say the league needs to review those calls more thoroughly. Others insist that physical defenders need to adapt to SGA's craftiness or risk getting whistled all night. Wait until you hear the next part. Meanwhile, the race for the second seed continues to intensify. Houston is determined not to let one bad loss derail their surprising run, but the Nuggets are just a half step behind, hungry to leapfrog them in the standings. If that happens, the ripple effect could shift potential first-round matchups and drastically alter the playoff picture. With every passing day, rumors swirl about last-ditch trades and hush-hush negotiations. Insiders claim that certain front offices are willing to deal promising younger talent for a proven veteran, hoping to tip the scales in this chaotic race. Detroit's sudden surge adds another layer of unpredictability to the season. At first, the Pistons were brushed aside as a team that couldn't possibly threaten any serious contender. Now they're collecting wins at a startling rate, all while missing their main star. Observers wonder if this improvement is sustainable or if they're simply catching teams at the right time. Still, there's no denying the energy and belief pumping through that locker room. If they keep up this momentum, they'll head into the playoffs with nothing to lose. And sometimes, that makes for the most dangerous opponent. For the Heat, the next few games could decide their entire season. Another prolonged slump, and the whispers of internal chaos might become roaring thunder. But if players like Wiggins can harness their old spark more consistently, Miami might claw its way back to relevance. Fans who once believed in a potential finals berth are waiting anxiously for that turning point. All it takes is one big winning streak to transform a team's identity, but time is running out, and the pressure is definitely on. Across the board, these heated battles show no sign of slowing down. There's gossip about certain coaching staffs already studying tape more intensely than usual, preparing for the possibility of meeting these very opponents in the postseason. Players who once seemed content in smaller roles are stepping up with greater confidence. And the fans? They're more invested than ever, especially when drama boils over like it did with SGA's foul-drawing antics. Some folks believe that meltdown in LA might be the tip of an iceberg if the officiating doesn't tighten up in time for the playoffs. Others are sure the league will quietly address it behind closed doors, adjusting how refs call contact for someone as elusive as Gilgeous-Alexander. Yet, there's another twist to this entire thing. Still, no single storyline can overshadow the fact that the Western Conference is stacked with unpredictable twists. One night, the Clippers look unbeatable at home. The next, they're forced to watch their leads evaporate. One week, the Rockets can't stop winning. The next, they suffer a gut-wrenching loss that puts their seeding in jeopardy. Perhaps the biggest takeaway is that every single game now matters. Every call, every hustle play, every missed free throw, each can be the deciding factor in a race so tight, it feels like the entire league is walking on eggshells. By the time the final buzzer sounded in Los Angeles, some fans had turned their anger into a reluctant respect for the Thunder's perseverance. Others still left the arena fuming about perceived injustices. The official box score might show the usual stats: SGA's free throw attempts, Kawhi's efficient scoring, Caruso's clutch assists, but the true story lies in that uneasy tension lingering over what's to come. Will the Clippers regain composure and ride their superstars' shoulders back to a winning streak? Or is this defeat a symptom of deeper cracks, with the fan base's frustration hinting that bigger changes need to happen? One thing is certain: these controversies aren't going to disappear. Players and coaches alike feed off the drama, consciously or not, and fans thrive on every new angle. Call it a spectacle, call it petty, but there's no denying it keeps people glued to every second of gameplay. Even a single questionable whistle can explode into a viral highlight, with slow-motion replays dissected frame by frame to see if a defender brushed a shooter's arm or if the so-called flopper sold contact. Sometimes that intense scrutiny leads to overreaction. Other times, it reveals subtle details that change how we see the game. As for Gilgeous-Alexander, he simply shrugs off the accusations. Ask his teammates, and they'll tell you he's always been crafty about drawing contact. Part skill, part mindset. Ask his critics, and they'll say he's gaming the system to rack up free throws instead of earning baskets the honest way. The truth might lie somewhere in between. Regardless, the Thunder's victory in Los Angeles is a bold statement. They're not afraid to challenge a heavily favored team on its home turf, using every trick in the book to walk away with a win. You'll never guess what happens next. So where does that leave the Western Conference? Primed for even more bombshell moments. The Clippers, Nuggets, Rockets, Thunder, and countless other teams are jostling for position, each searching for a formula that leads to an NBA Finals berth. Injuries, mid-season trades, coaching adjustments, any one of these elements could trigger a chain reaction. And the storyline in the East, with the Pistons roaring back into relevance, proves that no underdog is truly out of the hunt. Each team has a narrative stoking the fire of competition. As the regular season rolls on, remember that moments like the Clippers-Thunder finish aren't just about a single game. They reflect the escalating intensity of a league in constant flux. They show how quickly fans can shift from sheer adoration to unbridled outrage, and how swiftly a young star can go from borderline anonymity to the talk of the town, whether praised or criticized. They also reveal how a player like Kawhi Leonard can still summon brilliance, yet fall short if his supporting cast doesn't execute in the final seconds. The big question is whether these controversies point to cracks in title-contending teams, or if they're just the typical drama of a long NBA season. Sometimes, a tough loss sparks a championship run, forging a renewed focus and chemistry. Other times, it foreshadows deeper issues that can't be fixed with a simple pep talk. Fans are left wondering which path the Clippers, Rockets, and other squads will take. With the postseason looming, the stakes have never been higher, and neither have the emotions swirling around every contested call. In the end, the noise about flopping, missed fouls, and unstoppable free throw shooters might be just one piece of the puzzle. Watch closely though, because the real revelations often come when the lights are brightest. Will the Clippers adjust and reclaim their fortress at home? Can Houston reignite that winning streak and hold off Denver for the second seed? And is Detroit on the verge of pulling off a Cinderella run in the East? As fans, we can only speculate, but that sense of mystery is half the fun. What's undeniable is that each new game brings fresh intrigue. The players sense it, the coaches strategize for it, and the viewers, we're left pressing play again and again, desperate to see how these tales unfold. Tonight's controversy might be replaced by tomorrow's jaw-dropping buzzer beater or the next day's blockbuster trade rumor. The possibilities remain endless, and with so much on the line, there's no slowing down. So keep an eye on that label pinned to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Is he truly flopping, or just maximizing his natural craft in a contact-driven league? Whichever side you land on, this clash of skill, strategy, and tension sets the perfect stage for the final chapters of the regular season. And if the uproar in Los Angeles is any indication, we're in for a wild ride, complete with shocking moments, redemption arcs, and everything in between. The road to the playoffs is paved with uncertainty, and that's exactly why it's so captivating. Thank you so much for watching till the very end. If you enjoyed today's video, be sure to subscribe and turn on the bell notification so you never miss our next upload.